Before the wars, before the kings, there was only the land, the green, endless, and quiet. Here, beside the rivers of KwaZulu-Natal, a people rose whose name would one day mean the sky. It began with one man's footsteps, Zulu, son of Malindela, a small clan that would one day take his name, tending cattle in valleys that had no idea what was coming. Generations later, the chief Dingisweo looked upon his warriors and saw something new. Not loose bands of men bound only by custom, but disciplined regiments, organized by age and loyalty, the first outline of an army no one yet knew was being built. Among those he commanded was a boy with nothing. Shaka, cast out, mocked, homeless, walked beside his mother across land that owed him nothing, sleeping in exile, surviving on defiance. Rejection became his forge.
We must keep going.
When he rose to power, he rejected the old ways of war, the thrown spear, the cautious retreat, and in their place shaped a new weapon, short, broad, brutal at close range. The Iklua, they called it, said to be named for the sound it made living flesh. He reimagined the battlefield itself with the bullhorn formation, chest and horns and loins, encircling and destroying enemies who had never faced discipline like this. In 1816, the boy once cast aside took the Zulu throne. At Cockley Hill in 1818, and at the Mlethu's River in 1820, his warriors crushed every rival that dared stand against him. A small clan had become an empire, but conquest cast a long shadow. Across the land, entire nations fled before the rising Zulu power, a great scattering. The people called them Fikeng, the crushing. Villages burned, kingdoms scattered, and millions were displaced as a continent was reshaped within a single generation. At the height of his power, Shaka ruled from KwaBulawayo, his great royal kraal, where warriors drilled at dawn and cattle stretched to the horizon. But power built these first rarely goes unchallenged. In 1828, in the dark of his own kraal, he was struck down by his own brothers. His half-brother Dingen took the throne, cautious, uncertain. The king soon tested by strangers arriving from across the sea, Votrika settlers, seeking land they could call their own. Their leader, Piet Retief, rode to Dingen's kraal seeking agreement. Instead, he and his men were seized and killed within the walls of Mganganlovu in 1838. In answer, the Votrikas who remained gathered their wagons and met the Zulu army on the banks of the Nkam River on the 16th of December 1838, a battle so fierce the river itself ran red with its cost. History would remember it as Blood River. From the ashes of civil war came Band, Dingen's half-brother, who chose to rule through endurance rather than conquest. For 32 years, the Zulu nation knew something close to peace, until his own sons turned against one another at Nanakusuka in 1856, brother against brother, fighting for a crown not yet decided. Setshweo Kompandi emerged from that war victorious, becoming the last king to rule a fully independent Zulu nation. But the world beyond his borders was closing in. In January 1879, the British column under Lord Chelmsford crossed into Zululand. At Isandwana, 20,000 Zulu warriors encircled and annihilated the British camp using the very bullhorn formation their ancestors had perfected 60 years before, one of the most stunning defeats in the history of the British Empire. Hours later, at Rock's Drift, a small garrison of British soldiers held through the night against wave after wave of attacks, in a defense both sides would remember for its extraordinary courage. By March, at Kambula, the tide of the war turned. And on the 4th of July 1879, the royal capital of Ulandi burned to the ground, bringing the age of the independent Zulu Kingdom to its end. 3 years later, the defeated king stood face to face with the queen who had defeated him, Setshweo and Victoria, two monarchs bound together by the full weight of everything that had passed between their peoples. The kingdom Setshweo returned to was no longer whole, divided among rival chiefdoms and scarred by years of civil war. And yet the Zulu people did not disappear. Today, by the tens of thousands, women and girls still gather each year for the Amlanga Reed ceremony, color, pride, and unbroken tradition carried forward into a new century. Empires rise, and empires fall. A people can outlast both. The kingdom changed. The land changed. But the name Zulu remains, spoken with the same pride it carried on the hills where it began. Bade. The legacy lives on, carried forward in every voice that still speaks its name. Please do subscribe.